And as of October 10th, we're engaged. Getting married next summer. So, yeah, if you see Jackie's work at Low Class or you hear her on the podcast, we're engaged. And I love her, and she's great. Are people getting grossed out? Are they getting turned off? How much feelings should you share? How much feelings are interesting? How much feelings are, I got to get out of here? I don't know. Trying to walk that balance beam. It's walking a balance beam you can't see. I think I'm taking a comfortable step, and now I'm in the Grand Canyon. All right. Yeah, dude. You know the thing about that is, um, and I don't say this cause I'm in it. I don't say this from a point of I'm this, so this is what I think is right. I really try to not do that, and I don't think I'm very confident that I'm not doing it with this because I've been you, other side. She's been you. We've been you. And here's the thing I'll say. If you are with a significant other and you're doing that thing where you're like, like we're together and we're in love and we don't need marriage. Like we don't need marriage. Like we're just doing our own thing, or we just don't need that. We're committed without that, or we don't need that, or oh goddamn, we did our own thing. We did a thing that's like that, but not that. I don't buy it, man. I don't goddamn buy it. I think I love my person more than you do. I do. I think marriage is it. I think you got to do it. More people tuning out. I can hear it. Uh, you know why? Because, like I said, I was in a relationship where I said, and I really loved this person, and I really cared for her, and the relationship went really well. And I always said, yeah, like I love you, but I don't know, marriage. It's like and I had all the reasons, like why do we got to get the government involved? It's just this weird tradition. I don't need a piece of paper. We'll just, we'll throw a party. It'll be like a commitment party, and we don't need all the shit. So I get it. I said it, dude. I said it, and to be honest, I started feeling feelings. I mean, we had feelings, obviously. I mean, we've had a long relationship in total. Um, if you count the together, the will they, won't they, the off and on, and then the, what I call from May 1st on of this year, relationship 2.0, which is like it's like we rebooted the relationship, and this is the current canon to follow. If you're if you're like a comic book person, this is the current canon that has erased previous canon. Starting May 1st, this is the relationship. We rebooted it, which is fucking great. That's something that I think would be interesting to go into later. People might be interested in that. Not in saying like what I did is good. Like that's the thing with this podcast. Like it's like a monologue. Like I'm just talking at you, but I think it's a dialogue in a way. It's my perfect dialogue because I get to talk for an hour uninhibited by other people trying to talk as well because I'm a piece of shit like that. But also, like I said, I mean, I always plug Twitter and my email at the end of the show because, I mean, if you want to get a hold of me, I'm very open to it. And I hope via this podcast and the other podcasts I do, I mean, I try to go in strong because that is how I talk. I'm not putting on a character. I'm not Larry the Cable Guying you. I mean, that's how I talk. That's how I funds around. That's how I argue. But I feel the baseline of all of those that I try to get across in this and my podcast is like, I like to see all sides. I like other information. I like my mind changed. And it doesn't mean I have a weak mind. I'm strong in my views, but that means if they're changed, or at least not even changed, like flipped, but like massaged one way or enlightened, that excites me because I'm like, man, I'm so strong willed that when something changes me, I know I just got some real knowledge dropped on me. But anyway, so that's my point is like with this, like I'd love to talk about maybe in another episode how me and Jackie, how we handled kind of taking 2 years off and then getting back together and having it be better. And like one of those things, like I'm not saying that we're the best relationship in the history of relationship. It's the best one for me, and it's the best one for her, but I'm not trying to say, hey, yours sucks, listen to me. Uh, and also make note of that when I continue on this marriage rant, that I'm not shitting on yours. I just want you to think about it because I've been you and I see different things. But basically, yeah, like, I mean, this is kind of a dialogue. I mean, shoot me an email, tweet at me. I mean, email's better. I mean, let's not get in a 140 character public back and forth. But seriously, I'd love to know if you've had similar experiences, if they've worked and not, and if you've gleaned anything from what I talk about, especially when it's like more personal stuff. Not because like personal like you care about me, but personal like this is shit we all go through. This isn't just like, what do we all think of Trump? It's like we all think what we think. We either love him, we hate him. Hopefully more the latter in terms of votes. I don't care what you feel in your heart. I mean, I do if you're like liking him because you're a racist, because that means you're a racist. But I've talked about that. I think that's overblown, that number. I think it's a lot of people voting against their self-interest, which just makes me sad, gives me empathy for those people. I know you're mad, but you're that person getting mad punching holes in your own drywall. It's your drywall, buddy. You know? Punch a pillow. Get it out, but make a better decision. All right? Don't break your house to prove a point to yourself. All right. But for real, man, where did this even start? I assume most of my podcast fans are also fans of Tarantino movies. They can handle a story that winds in and out from different plots. But so basically, we got engaged. I think that means I'm better than you. But seriously, so we got back together in May. And like I said, it might seem kind of fast if you take it from the canon of us starting May 1st, which I do for all history and intents and purposes. I know it's intents and purposes, but I feel like it sounded like I said intensive purposes, and I felt someone getting mad, like I said Pacific Ocean. So, but anyways, so for all, you know, conversation wise, we did start on May 1st, but just for why May to October isn't soon, we got a history that we built on in our hearts, but just not in our souls and in our minds. I think that's a good way to put it. But anyway, so around the summer, I kind of started bringing this up to her. I was like, dude, I know, you know, we both, and you know, like I said, the thing is, I had these views in my relationship prior to Jackie, which went well, which there was a lot of love. And like I said, looking back on it, now that I am engaged to someone, I'm like, yeah, the one relationship where I was like, I love you, but I'm not ready to marry you. What happened to that one? Oh, yeah, it ended. It fucking ended. Even though there was a lot of love, there was a lot of healthy, you know, relating. There was a lot of positivity. It was mostly positive. I mean, I feel like we really ended for just semantical reasons. Like, we ended for like, I thought you were going this way, thought I was going this way. We're going different ways. We're kind of, you know, drifting apart, as they say. But there was a lot of love. The breakup was very amicable. But I think we both knew in our, at least I don't want to speak for her. I think I knew, like looking back, not at the time, but looking back, that's probably why I didn't want to jump in so hard, because we dated like 5 years. That's classic get engaged time. I mean, we're a little young, but not crazy young. I knew people that got married way younger than we would have, based on getting engaged and staying together and then getting married. We would have been right in the medium, if not median, if not a little above. But anyways, my point is, now looking back, maybe that's why I did it. Because there was something just in my soul, you know, in the back of my head, where real decisions are made, that was like, it's not marriage, it's this. And not even saying it's her, it's the relationship. I wouldn't put blame on her. Like I said, it was fine. But there was probably something in the back of my head that was like, but since I loved her, those two thoughts coalesced into like, we'll do our own thing. We'll do our own thing, you know? And so like I said, with this relationship with Jackie in summer, you know, we both had some apprehensions restarting a thing. But it went swimmingly. It really was all the good parts. Because, I mean, we had good parts even when it was bad in our first run. I mean, that's what kept us together so long. And really, it was all the good parts with a lot of the bad shaved. And the stuff that wasn't shaved we worked through it in a way more functional way than we ever had before. So I was like, again, like I said, like it was organic because it wasn't in me before. I never, even with early Jackie 1.0, the out of canon special issue of our relationship, I think we both talked about, doing our own thing, commitment ceremony, just a big party. Why do we need the paper? Blah, 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 all that shit, So like I said, even in this relationship, that had, as far as anything discussed, that was the thread, right? And then, in the summer, I was like, this is fucking firing on all cylinders. All the good things, got rid of the bad, the stuff that still lingers, and the stuff that'll always linger. Every relationship will have problems forever because just new things prop up, and every once in a while you're going to be like, I think this about this thing that's new. Oh, I think this thing, whatever. So we're working through things better than ever. And we've continued to even improve on how we work on improving, which I think is literally the most important part. Because it's like, I always say, like, it's never going to be perfect. You're never going to, like, just sit down at 28 or whatever age, 35, 40, and be like, all right, we had some differences, we had some issues, but we've solved them all. This relationship's perfect. Now we can just coast to death. You're always going to have something. So it's really about how you work through shit. If you can get that good, then that's a good long-term success strategy. But anyway, so I was feeling good. And so I started bringing it up. I was like, I want to get married. And I was really pushing it. Gender role reversal on it. If you think about standard gender roles. I don't want someone getting mad to be like, why are those even the gender roles? Why would you even say reversed? Maybe there shouldn't just be general. Okay, calm down. You know what I mean. Like I said, this is part informative, part funny. I'm just making it funny. Not trying to hurt your feelings. You identify however you want. All right. But so I was pushing it, and she was resistant. But again, in the way of not, she was like, I love you. I love this. I agree it's going well. But why do we need the paper? Having that paper scares me. It seems like it's like a weird tradition, blah, blah, all the stuff, And I was like, I don't know. I just feel it. And as I kept pushing it, she came around. But like, again, same way. Because I asked her, because I wanted to be honest, Because I didn't feel like I needed it, but I just feel like it was important to me and important to us. And that's why I'm even speaking about it now, how I think it's an important thing for a relationship. And I don't know, maybe 2-3 months ago now, so like more towards like the end of summer, she was like, yeah, I want to do it. I see where you're coming from, and I feel that same way. Like, I think it just popped up organically in her like it did in me, because we were both those other people. So I think it just came up organically, and it was related to my feelings towards her, hers towards me, and ours towards the relationship, I think when you find a good thing, like, it just sparks up. I mean, if you think about it, it's kind of, if you have those against marriage views, you're kind of thinking about them before you get in a relationship. But if you have a marriage view, like I want to get married, and I'm not saying all people, because some people, we all know those people that since 16 they've been trying to lock down a husband and or wife. It's usually the former, but I'm not going to put it on one sex. I've seen dudes try to do that shit too. It's less common, but I've seen it, And so, but I do think in general, I think more people, it's not that they go in against marriage. I just think there are people on both extremes. So I think a lot of people go in to just like, I'm a date. I'm going to find someone. I just want to find someone I love. I just want to find someone I can have fun with. Like, say stuff like that. And then they find that and they're like, I'm going to marry this person. So I think that's another thing that's made me come around on marriage. That I think people that choose marriage, for the most part, even though there's some outliers, they're like, I'm going to snag a husband. I'm going to bag a wife. I think for the most part, it's people wanting to just find someone, and then when they do, they're like, I want to say this in front of people. I want like a thing on my hand. I want to. It's about saying it to them and about saying it to the world, and some weird combination of both. But anyways, and so it's like, to me, now being in it, I respect that view more, because you made a view about marriage in a relationship. So you made a relationship decision in a relationship, whereas I think some people are making relationship decisions outside of a relationship, or like they just start to know someone. Like it's like they're 2 weeks into saying I love you, and they're saying like I love you, but I don't know, marriage is kind of just, it's this weird tradition, and it's all about goats and the kingdoms, or whatever they learned in, poli-sci 101. And, some fucking graphic design major trying to tell you about the history of marriage. But you know what I mean? And so, so I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to seem mean. And I'm not even saying break up. So not mean and not forcing a hand, but I'm saying if you are with someone you love, but you're still saying the like, we're doing it our own way, I don't know. Sorry, now that I'm in this, I don't buy it. And I think I'm fair to make that assertion. Not fair to judge you, because I'm really not judging you. Like I said, this is all about a dialogue. I'm not telling you what's wrong. I'm merely saying what's right for me. But I am extrapolating some data from that. It's not judgment, it's data extrapolation. That being from where you were to now, I don't know. You should explore those feelings. Why are you scared? Or even if it's not the relationship's bad, what gives you marriage baggage? What has your views on marriage, the thing, so negative? And then address those, either in yourself or, plunk down the money for a therapist, whatever your means and whatever you're comfortable with. But explore just your general marriage feelings. And then once you work through those, look at the person across from you and see if you're like, you know what? It wasn't you. It was marriage. I worked out those marriage feelings. Now I feel different. And get them to do it too. If you feel like they're a little more hesitant, get them to do that. Don't pressure them into like, you got to marry me. But just be like, hey, would you think about marriage for a minute? Like, just think about your feelings on it. And then get back to me, I don't know. That's just what I've been thinking about. Let me take a sip of water real quick. I was thinking about hitting the pause button to take that sip of water, right? But then I was like, will people hear like a little click? Will they know I paused? Does that make this seem less organic? Because I really do just run this thing. I don't know. So I just wanted to keep that reality in check. So instead, I just told you verbally I'm going to drink some water. I might have to do that one more time. Woke up feeling a little dehydrated this morning. Didn't get drunk last night. I had one drink with dinner. Had a Irish mule. Like a Moscow mule, but whiskey instead of vodka. Tasty. But yeah, I'm not like hungover or anything. Just feeling a little dehydrated. Anyways. You know what? I shouldn't have paused it for the drink, but I should have paused it to avoid that conversation about my dehydration. But anyways, just, I don't know. Think about your partner. Think about marriage. Because, like, now that we're both in it, we both love it, and we never thought we would at all. We never really thought we were until we were ready. So I'd address just why are you not ready with this person, and why are you not ready for marriage? And it could be one or the other. So I'm not saying, you don't love your person. But I'm just saying it's pretty good. Because honestly, I wouldn't even judge marriages. Meaning, like, if you're like, well, we have this agreement while we're dating. I don't know. Like an open relationship is the most obvious. But, I mean, there's 100 variations on that and marriage. But you know what I mean? I still don't know why you can't marriage it, make a commitment, like a real commitment, not a like, we went to our favorite tree and we said, I love you, and that's what we call it, because there's something, it's special. I think, like, again, when you're not in it, it's easy to see it as groupthink. But when you're in it, even though it's something that thousands of people, hundreds of millions, why do you even start at thousands? Why do you even go to millions? Trillions at this point, probably, if you just go through history, have gotten married. So I think that's another thing. It feels unoriginal. But when you're in it with the person you care about, it feels so goddamn individual. And I think that's the great part about it. You know? Because I asked Jackie, I was like, are you excited to be a wife? You know? Like, did you ever think you'd be a wife? She's like, I never thought I'd be a wife. And I'm not excited to be a wife. I'm excited to be your wife. And I was like, that's how I feel. I'm excited to be your husband. So my point, it feels when you're in it, when you got those feelings and when you're making the decisions and, you know, how are we going to do the wedding? You know, like that stuff again, like, I think, again, like, there's, like I said, try to keep it moderate, baby. I want to hear everything. But, like, I think people could go way overboard on wedding planning. But I think people could go way underboard. But I think there is this, like, when you're just planning it out. Not because, like, the wedding's important. You get married however you want, as long as it's what you want, you know? But I think just talking about it. Like I said, it's like, who's not talked about it? Where are we gonna do it? What day? You know, all that shit. It's like people have had the same discussions about the same event for thousands of years. But when you're doing it with the person you care about, it feels individual. So again, like, don't get hung up on it. You know? Don't get hung up on that type of shit, feeling like you've advanced beyond it. Because you haven't. Because once you're in it, you'll realize, like, I can't advance beyond it because it's not something to be advanced beyond, because it's a personal thing. I'm not playing against the high score on Pac-Man. I'm playing against my own high score, you know? I fucking just thought of that analogy. I think it's a good one. And I think all the people that just liked it hate it now because I called out that I liked it. Don't be cocky, Justin. Baseline narcissism. But you know what I mean? So I don't know. That's all I say. I feel like you got to go in for a penny and for a pound. And I judge you. Now, and all the other caveat, too, is, like, don't rush into it. So I'm not saying, like, you're a year 2 in. There's no rush to it. But I'm just saying, if you say, I don't want to be with anyone, you know, like the standard marriage thing. And I guess, like I said, this doesn't maybe account for open marriages in a certain way. Well, it does, because you're saying, like, I want to be married to you forever, but in between that forever, I'm going to be knocking out other dicks and pussies. But my point is, like, if you're at that point where you're like, you're the only one I'll be with, I know I'll care about you more than anyone I ever meet, all that standard shit, and then you reach that point, and, you know, maybe even throw in just a couple, like, and I'm financially sound enough. I don't think you got to be in a mansion, but you're like, I went from the internship to the actual job. I got promoted from fry cook to grill at McDonald's. Like I said, there's no barrier. Just have a job or a place to live. Or, you know what? Homeless people should get married too, if you really love the person. But make sure your box is in order. Have a nice box under a nice overpass. Right? I recommend, I believe it's where I see it. If you're in Chicago, I believe the Lawrence. If you're going to Lakeshore and Lawrence, that's a really nice overpass. Looks like they got a good community. Find a good tent. Make sure you got a good corner for panhandling, right? A good sign. And then when you're set up, you know, you find that old wheelchair lady that you love. You get down on one knee. You present her with the old dumpster dragged onion ring you found. And you say, hey, do you want to be together for the rest of our lives? Or until one of us succumbs to the deadly Chicago winter? I'm just fucking too mean. Too mean. But you know what I mean? Just make sure you're stable enough. Make sure you don't want to be with anyone else. And if at that point you're not ready to sack it up, I don't know. I don't buy it. I really don't. I'm sorry. It's judgment, but it's not judgment. It's literally just a call to be like, just address it. Because worst case, if it really is the person, I mean, that's not the worst thing. It's like I said with the girl I was with before Jackie. I love Jackie, quote unquote, more, and I'm happy with her. Like that's why I'm marrying her. She's the best I've ever had, and I can extrapolate and feel like I don't think anyone could best it. But that doesn't mean that the relationship I had before was bad. It's not dichotomous like that. It's a spectrum. It was really good. It was really good. There were a lot of good parts. But there had to be something in me, now that I look back, that was like, but it's not, you know? And that's what I'm saying. I think you could easily look at the person across from you and be like, it's not, But that doesn't mean this was bad. It definitely doesn't mean that we've wasted time, mine or yours or each other's. We didn't waste time. This wasn't bad. We got great memories. I'll always care about you, in a certain way. I can give my heart and soul to another person in the future, but you always mean something to me. I'll always be there for you in a certain way, You always hold a special place in my history, and that doesn't mean anything bad to the people I meet in the future. So you can look and say those things to that person, but be like, I got to find that person that makes me And that's worst case. Worst case is you had a great few months, years, whatever together. And you got a person in your life they can always count on in a certain way. That's worst case. With the caveat that now you're going to go find that person that makes you go, let's lock this motherfucking down. You know what I mean? But like I said, best case, which honestly I think in a lot of these is likely. If I had to guess, I think 8 of 10 is this scenario. 2 of 10 is the we should break up, but in a loving way. But I think 8 out of 10 honestly is what scares you about marriage? And it's probably something from your past, like probably something you saw with your parents or other people in your family, or something like you're not sure about your own life. Like you're scared about your individual life and you're just scared about life in general. Like I think you maybe just got some life anxiety, whether real or imagined, and you're not wanting to kind of attach to someone in an uncertain life or in a personal uncertain instance or situation, or even more altruistic, you don't want to bring someone into what you perceive is an unsound life because you're like, my life's not, it's a little chaotic. I don't know if I'm going to bring someone into that. But, I think if someone loves you, they want to be a part of that because they want to be there for you and maybe even help you if they can. So that's why I say 8 out of 10, take the time. And like I said, I think once I'm not saying you're not happy. I'm not saying you're not having fun times. Because I feel like I'm going to get we have fun. We love each other. Just because we're not married, you think we're just arguing all the time? We're not. Nah, you probably are. I'm just saying, I don't know. The way I feel now, I feel like I'm a new person in a better way. And I feel like a relationship that was clicking on all cylinders, I feel like has been elevated. So like I said, I'm not judging you. I'm wishing better for you because I goddamn love you. If you're listening to this podcast, I'll say it. I love you. I'm taking a sip of water. Let you soak in that love. All right. Talked enough about that.